Korvac's shin moved with the stiff, uneven rhythm of a machine past its prime. Each step sent a muted tremor through his prosthetic leg, the metal joint clicking faintly against the polished floor of the Hall of Veterans. Marble columns stretched toward a vaulted ceiling etched with the triumphs of his species, but none of the carved scenes resembled what he had seen on that forgotten world where humans first taught him fear. Visitors parted instinctively as he passed. Some whispered. Others stared openly at the alien who had once commanded a shock trooper battalion and returned home broken, mind frayed and body rebuilt with alloy and synthetic muscle. Children tugged at their parents' arms, asking questions, but the adults shushed them in hushed tones. No one wanted their offspring to know that an Imperial commander had ever been defeated, especially not by a new species the Empire still publicly dismissed as primitive. Korvac ignored them. He had endured worse judgments than idle stares. His mind was already occupied with darker thoughts, visions of a battlefield lit by tracer fire and lined with bodies, both alien and human. Those memories surged often, unbidden, returning with perfect clarity, human eyes glowing with a fiery resolve he had never seen in any other race. He reached the hall's exit, adjusting the slings supporting his reconstructed arm. A courier waited there, rigid and uncomfortable in the presence of a man whose reputation clashed with imperial pride. "Advisor Shun," the courier said, bowing stiffly. "The War Senate requests your presence." "Request?" Korvac murmured. "Does the Senate now request rather than order?" The courier looked uneasy. "I only deliver messages." Korvac sighed. "Very well. Led on." They traveled through a series of high-security corridors until they reached the Senate chamber, an amphitheater shaped like an inverted star, its tiers filled with senators adorned in ceremonial silks and woven sigils representing their sectors. The air hummed faintly with tension, though most faces displayed polite boredom. Only a few held genuine curiosity. At the center, standing tall in his black war coat decorated with luminous medals, was High Marshal Savraxis Dern, the man who had dismissed Korvac's warnings more aggressively than any other. Korvac took the podium, feeling every eye fix on him. Savraxis's voice boomed. "Advisor Shun, you may present your insights." The pause carried thinly veiled contempt. Korvac activated the hollow projector. Blue light rippled, forming tactical maps and reconstructed combat footage from his last campaign against humans. He steadied himself. The flicker of light against his scars reminded him painfully of the detonations he had survived. "I will be concise," he began. "Human soldiers do not behave according to our established combat models. Their adaptability on the battlefield exceeds projections by significant margins. They respond to changing conditions with a fluidity our algorithms have not matched." A senator raised a hand. "We know they adapt. Every new species adapts eventually." "Not like this," Korvac replied. "Humans alter tactics mid-engagement without external command. They exploit terrain instinctively. They disregard standard casualty thresholds. They press forward even when wounded beyond survival." Savraxis folded his arms. "All soldiers press forward." "No," Korvac said, voice sharp. "Not like them." He changed the display. A grainy recording appeared, the only surviving footage from the bunker assault that had ended his battalion. Shadows filled the screen, broken by flashes of human weapons striking with impossible precision. Korvac forced himself to continue. "During our initial engagement on Althean Ridge, human forces ambushed us using improvised traps. They coordinated silently, without advanced communication gear. Their resistance outmatched our expectations even though they were outnumbered." A murmur spread across the chamber. He advanced the footage to the moment that haunted him most. A human soldier, bleeding heavily from multiple wounds, held a narrow passageway alone. 3 of Korvac's troopers tried to breach it. The human shot 2 before collapsing to a knee, then activated an explosive charge that blasted the entryway apart. The recording froze on the soldier's face, jaw clenched, eyes burning with unwavering defiance. "That man was seconds from death," Korvac said. "Yet he held long enough to protect his comrades. Humans push beyond physiological limits." Pain does not deter them. Fear does not paralyze them. Their instinct is to resist until the last breath. Some senators shifted uncomfortably. Others scoffed. Sevraxis leaned forward. What you show us is desperation, not strength. Cornered animals behave similarly. Nothing here suggests strategic superiority. Korvac met his gaze. These animals defeated an elite Imperial battalion. They forced me to retreat for the first time in my career. And you expect us to believe, Sevraxis said coldly, that a young species with inferior technology poses a threat to the Empire? I expect you to acknowledge reality, Korvac answered. If provoked, humans do not back down. They retaliate with ferocity. If we ignite another conflict, they will come for us with everything they have. A senator laughed. Let them. We will show them the strength of a true galactic superpower. That arrogance, Korvac said quietly, is why we will lose. The chamber erupted in offended whispers. Sevraxis slammed his hand on the podium. You overstep. Korvac stepped back, breathing slowly, controlling his rising frustration. I speak from experience. Dismiss my warnings at your peril. Sevraxis straightened, expression icy. Your fear clouds your judgment. The Empire does not bow to lesser species. We will not hesitate to crush Earth if it becomes insolent. A ripple of approval moved through the Senate. Korvac felt the familiar surge of helpless anger. You misunderstand them, Marshal. They do not seek conquest. They seek survival. If you strike them, they will carry the war to your doorstep. Enough, Sevraxis sparked. You are dismissed. Korvac shut down the holofeed. The blue glow faded. His scars tingled, a phantom echo of that battlefield. As he left the chamber, Senate members resumed their debates, unconcerned by the warning he had tried to deliver once more. Near the exit, two junior officers whispered within earshot. Why do they still call him here? Tradition, I suppose? His mind broke years ago. Korvac paused only long enough to steady himself. Their words no longer wounded him. What tormented him was the knowledge that they were walking blindly toward a war they would not survive. Outside, the sky of Valus Prime glowed with the colors of late-cycle dusk. Transports drifted between spires, oblivious to the looming storm. Korvac tightened the straps of his sling and walked toward the descending night. They will ignore me again, he murmured. And when the humans return, there will be no turning back. The news arrived before dawn, carried by a trembling aide who hesitated before knocking on Korvac's door. He had slept only a few hours, haunted by the Senate session and the memories it stirred. When the knock came, he already knew the shape of the disaster waiting on the other side. The aide bowed deeply. Advisor Shun, an incident occurred on the frontier. His eyes avoided Korvac's prosthetic arm, drifting instead toward the floor. You should see this. Korvac followed him into the briefing chamber. Holoscreens displayed grainy images, shattered domes, charred structures, drifting debris. A small human colony, unregistered, hidden in the outer bar frontier, had been annihilated by an Imperial destroyer group conducting territorial enforcement. Korvac's jaw tightened. Casualties? Hi, sir, the aide whispered. Civilian levels. Possibly all. The holofeed replayed the final minutes, escape shuttles blasted apart, comms towers melting under particle fire, a last transmission from a human engineer shouting coordinates before everything went white. Korvac exhaled through clenched teeth. This will not end quietly. He strode to the communications terminal. Reports scrolled in real time as Imperial media outlets framed the incident as a demonstration of authority. The message was unmistakable. The Empire would tolerate no human expansion beyond approved corridors. A sharp chill ran along Korvac's spine. Humans never ignored their dead. He stood motionless for a moment, absorbing the implications. Then he whispered, They will answer this. The answer came far faster than even he could have predicted. 36 minutes later, an alarm shook Valus Prime. Red indicators flashed across the War Senate's communication network. Korvac, who had remained in the briefing chamber, watched as a new transmission overrode all security protocols. A human fleet appeared at the edge of the frontier, emerging from a jump so precise it bordered on impossible. Imperial analysts scrambled to verify the data. The jump route defied all navigational models. No species could cross that distance with such speed and accuracy. Yet the proof hovered above the border world of Archeon 2, 15 sleek human warships, hulls dark and seamless, aligned in perfect formation. A single message accompanied their arrival. "You attacked our people. This is your final warning." The words carried no bluster, no threats, only cold certainty. The War Senate reacted instantly. Korvac was summoned again, the second time in 2 days. The chamber buzzed with frantic energy. Senators spoke over one another, their earlier confidence replaced by unease. High Marshal Savraxis stood at the center podium, issuing rapid orders through a secure channel. When Korvac reached him, Savraxis's eyes flashed with anger. "You were right about their response time," Savraxis admitted tersely. "But this still proves nothing. They are trying to intimidate us." Korvac approached the tactical board. "That is not a bluff. Humans mobilized in less than an hour. You underestimate their logistical systems," a senator snapped. "They cannot sustain a campaign. Their numbers are limited." "Numbers matter less than will," Korvac said. "Humans fight with alarming cohesion. They adapt under pressure. They don't break." Savraxis cut in. "Enough. The Empire will not retreat." The chamber lights dimmed as the human fleet transmitted a second message, this time encrypted, but quickly decoded. "We are retrieving our dead. Interfere, and we will escalate." Gasps rippled through the Senate tiers. Retrieve bodies inside Imperial territory, an unprecedented act. Savraxis snarled. "The audacity of these creatures." "Do not provoke them!" Korvac snapped. His voice echoed sharply, silencing the chamber. "They are giving you a path to avoid war. Take it," a senator hissed. "You side with them?" "I side with survival," Korvac replied. Savraxis glared. "Your fear infects your reasoning. The Empire commands. They obey." With a gesture, Savraxis ordered a nearby officer. "Deploy a carrier regiment to block their retrieval attempt. Prepare warning shots." Korvac's stomach clenched. "If you fire on them, they will strike back harder than you can imagine." The marshal ignored him. The response came within minutes. When the Imperial carrier attempted to close on the human extraction ships, the humans struck with surgical precision. Drone swarms launched from the lead vessel, weaving around Imperial defenses like living shadows. They pierced hull compartments, detonating micro-charges that disabled engines and communications without vaporizing the ship. The entire carrier group was rendered inert in 52 seconds. Korvac watched the live feed as human marines extracted the bodies from the devastated colony. They worked silently, moving with a solemn coordination rare on any battlefield. Each corpse was handled with care, sealed in stasis fields. One marine paused, removing his helmet to place a hand on a mangled cryotube. His lips momentarily formed a silent promise. Korvac recognized the gesture. Humans honored their fallen with fierce devotion. When the extraction ships withdrew, the human fleet transmitted one final message before vanishing into an impossible jump. "Our dead are home. You have crossed a line you cannot uncross." The fleet disappeared. The chamber erupted. "This is an act of war. Mobilize the armada. We must retaliate before they strike again." Savraxis raised a hand. Silence fell. "The Empire does not yield. We will crush them before they spread any further." Korvac could no longer control his frustration. "You already provoked them with the colony strike. Now you push them further? High Marshal, your pride blinds you." Savraxis stepped forward. "Choose your next words carefully." Korvac held his ground. "Humanity is not a minor foe. Their unity is unlike anything in this galaxy. They recover faster, think faster, strike harder. If you escalate now, you condemn billions." A senator interjected. "We cannot let this insult go unanswered." It was not an insult, Korvac retorted. It was a warning. And you refused to hear it. Sevraxis dismissed him with a cold gesture. Advisor Shun, consider this your final appearance before the Senate. Your counsel is no longer required. Korvac felt a sharp heaviness in his chest. Not fear, frustration. Impotence. The same despair he had carried since the First War. As he exited the chamber, the Senate's debate rose behind him like a storm of delusion and arrogance. Orders were already being issued for mass troop deployments, fleet mobilizations, and strategic postures that would only provoke further escalation. Outside, the wind carried the faint hum of the city. Transports moved across the sky, their lights drifting through the dusk. Korvac stopped at a balcony overlooking the capital. He placed a hand on the railing, breathing deeply as the night settled in. They will not listen, he whispered. Not until the humans stand at their gates. He closed his eyes, feeling the same dread that had haunted him since that battlefield long ago, an instinct sharpened by experience. War had already begun. The Empire simply did not recognize it yet. The first reports of Imperial losses reached Valus Prime before sunrise. Korvac stood alone in his residence, the city still wrapped in early darkness as emergency broadcasts echoed faintly through the streets. The calm facade of the capital was breaking. Civilian transports moved erratically through the air, scattering like startled birds. A secure transmission flashed across Korvac's terminal. He opened it. Human fleets had breached the outer bar defenses. 3 systems had fallen in less than an hour. Korvac closed his eyes. Humanity had moved faster than even his calculations predicted. Their forces did not advance in a straight line. They jumped unpredictably, tearing through hyperspace with impossible routes. Imperial navigational AIs flagged their trajectories as errors, yet the destruction unfolding across the frontier proved the accuracy. A second transmission arrived, this time from the War Senate. Korvac let it play. Sevraxis's voice carried through the speakers, strained despite his attempts at authority. Imperial citizens must remain calm. Our forces are engaging the human incursion. Victory is assured. Korvac shut it off before the message ended. Even without seeing the marshal's face, he could hear the cracks beneath the polished tone. Victory was far from assured. He left his quarters and made his way toward the central communications hub. Soldiers rushed past him, scrambling to reinforce security positions. Sirens pulsed overhead. For the first time in centuries, Valus Prime braced for war inside its own borders. Inside the hub, a chorus of officers argued over tactical displays. Korvac pushed his way to the command dais. What is the current situation? He asked. An exhausted coordinator replied. Human fleets broke through the outer gate. They're bypassing fortifications. Our cruisers can't predict their jump patterns. Casualties? Severe. They're striking command ships first, cutting communications, then disabling weapons platforms. They're not targeting civilians, not yet. A flicker of relief. Humans rarely harmed innocents without reason. But that mercy had limits. Has the Senate authorized negotiations? Korvac asked. The coordinator shook his head. The High Marshal refuses. He ordered a full mobilization. Korvac exhaled sharply. He still thinks this is a territorial dispute. He believes we can overwhelm them with numbers. Numbers won't matter, Korvac said. Not against an enemy that learns faster than you can adapt. He needed to try something different. Korvac accessed an encrypted channel from his personal terminal. He activated a code reserved from his first war, one that initiated contact with human intelligence units. The system pulsed as it searched for a distant counterpart. Minutes passed. Then a voice emerged, clear and steady. This is Captain Maya Ren, Earth Expeditionary Command. Identify yourself. Korvac straightened. I am Korvac Shun, former Imperial Commander. I seek to negotiate. A silence followed, dense and assessing. I know who you are, she said at last. You're the one we spared. Korvac swallowed. Yes. State your intention. I wish to prevent more deaths. he said. Your forces are overwhelming the frontier. The Empire's leadership refuses to acknowledge reality. We need time. You had time, Captain Wren replied. No anger, only certainty. Your Empire attacked our civilians. I understand, he said. But the path you're on will collapse the core. Billions will suffer. Our objective is not genocide, she said. We want accountability. Return the bodies. Admit the atrocity. Stand down. Korvac felt the weight of their demands. The High Marshal will never agree. That is your problem, not ours. The channel terminated. The War Senate convened again that afternoon. Korvac attended despite no invitation. The chamber rippled with unease. Senators whispered urgently, their former arrogance eroded by the avalanche of reports. Sevraxis stood at the podium, mask of confidence barely holding. Human forces have advanced farther than anticipated, he admitted, but our remaining fleets are regrouping. We will halt their progress at Valus Prime. Korvac stepped forward. You cannot defend this world. They will not launch a planetary bombardment, but they will strike your command centers. Negotiate while you still can. Sevraxis glared. You no longer have the right to speak here. A senator shouted. Let him talk. Our fleets are collapsing. Another added. If they reach the core, we are finished. Sevraxis slammed his palm against the podium. The Empire does not surrender, Korvac replied. Then prepare for your end. Security officers moved to escort him out. Korvac didn't resist. He had done everything possible. The Empire's downfall now rested in the hands of those who could not see beyond their pride. That evening, human fleets reached Valus Prime. The city's shield generators flared as thousands of human strike craft descended through the outer atmosphere. The sky lit with streaks of blue and white. Civilians flooded shelters. Anti-air batteries activated, only to be neutralized within seconds by precision EMP barrages. Korvac watched from a balcony as human dropships glided down like silent blades. They landed on targeted structures, military complexes, command spires, and strategic hubs, never firing on residential towers. Their actions were deliberate, disciplined, intentional. Ground combat erupted across the central districts. Human soldiers moved in tight formations, clearing corridors with practiced fluidity. Imperial troops fought, but morale fractured quickly. A young Imperial soldier stumbled near Korvac's position, clutching a scorched arm. Advisor Shun! They're everywhere! Korvac pulled him behind cover. Stay low. They're disabling infrastructure, not hunting civilians. But our commanders? Gone or captured, Korvac said. Keep your head down. A thunderous crash interrupted them. A human breaching unit broke through a nearby wall. The lead soldier raised his weapon, then hesitated when he saw Korvac shielding the injured trooper. The human lowered his rifle. We're not here for him, the soldier said. Medical teams are inbound. Keep him still. Korvac nodded slowly, stunned once again by the paradox. Unmatched ferocity paired with unwavering restraint. The human unit vanished into the smoke. Minutes later, a convoy of armored carriers reached the Senate Tower. Human forces surrounded the structure and breached it with clinical precision. No casualties among staff, no indiscriminate fire, only the elimination of armed resistance. Korvac made his way toward the tower's interior just as the humans escorted out a group of detained officials. At the center, restrained and venomous, stood High Marshal Sevraxis. A human commander faced him calmly. Your decisions caused this. You will face judgment. Sevraxis spat something unintelligible, struggling against his restraints as he was led away. Korvac observed the moment with a strange sense of closure. The man who had denied every warning, dismissed every plea, and dragged the Empire into ruin now stood powerless. One of the human officers looked at Korvac. You tried to stop this. I failed, Korvac said quietly. No, the officer replied. You warned them. They refused to listen. Outside, the last pockets of resistance dissolved. Human medics assisted wounded civilians. Military engineers disabled remaining weapon systems with clean efficiency. The war was over. Valus Prime surrendered before nightfall. Korvac stood amid the fading chaos, watching as human and alien drones worked side by side to clear debris. He felt no anger, no shame, only a heavy, solemn acceptance. A global broadcast flickered onto every screen. A calm human voice spoke. Humanity does not seek conquest. But if you harm our people, we will finish the war you began. Korvac closed his eyes. They tried to warn us too, he whispered. We simply refused to hear.